Hi, and welcome back to the HSP Connection with me, Philippa Robinson.
And me, Robbie Lee. This is where we share our stories, insights, and strategies to help fellow highly sensitive people navigate their own path to living a fulfilling and meaningful life.
We're on a mission to reclaim the word sensitive and help the world see the strength in sensitivity. So, Robbie, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're reading some comments from our listeners. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We've had quite a few comments in various different places over the course of the podcast last year, and not all of the ways we receive them enable us to respond. So we really wanted to do that here today, now, share them with you, and just really say thank you to everyone who has interacted with us. That's what we're doing, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. And also, happy 2024, everybody. Hello. Welcome back.
Happy 2024. We're a little bit rusty, so we're just getting ourselves back into this. Yes, we wish you all a happy and healthy year ahead, and we wish that for ourselves as well. The podcast is here to stay.
Yes.
And yeah, we just wanted to run through a few things. Now, I just want to say before we start that you haven't got here every single comment. So if you have commented and we don't read it out today, I am, first of all, thank you for your comment. We do read them all. I absolutely promise you that we read them all. And I'm sorry that yours wasn't one of the ones that is being read out today, but please rest assured that we have read it. Thank you for it. And we so appreciate it. Don't we? We love getting comments, don't we?
Oh, Robbie? My gosh. Yes. It's wonderful. Like, because we enjoy the conversations, you and I, but we're not just doing it for ourselves, right? We're doing it to reach other people. So it's really meaningful when someone not only listens, but then takes the time to say, to say how what they heard made an impact. It's really great.
It is really great. And there's lots of ways of getting in touch with which I can't even speak today. There are lots of ways of getting in touch with us. We've had messages via email. You will find how to contact us by email in the show notes at the end of the episode. We've had messages directly on Spotify. So if you scroll down through the show notes on Spotify, you will see a place where you are asked the question, what did you think of this episode? And you can put a comment in there. Those in particular, those comments on Spotify are ones that we can't respond to directly. There is no function allowing us to do that in Spotify. We've had some comments on YouTube, and we've had comments on LinkedIn as well. So, we're just going to share a few of them with you. Some of them are really quite insightful. That's why we want to share them with you. And, we hope you like listening or hearing your name mentioned if you are one of them.
Yeah. And I do want to add, even though we can't respond to the Spotify comments, they still help. They help the algorithm, help other people find us, and we still get to read them. So thank you. Please keep them coming.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, yes. And what we can do is when we receive the comment, we can choose to publish it. So all the ones that we have received, we have published. So they now show at the bottom of the episode, at the bottom of the show notes on the actual episode now. So they do really count. They are really helpful, and they are there for you to see if you want to go back and check. We just can't, there's no function in Spotify allowing us to reply to you, and there's no contact details, so we can't get in touch with you. But yeah, please keep on sending them
coming.
Yeah, let us have your questions, let us having any suggestions of topics, let us know how you're getting on, let us know how you're finding certain episodes. We just love it. So shall we get cracking?
Let's jump in.
Yeah.
Where would you like to start?
I don't know. Should we start with the emails?
Sure. Yeah.
We've had a
few emails and a couple that we wanted to highlight today. One was from Emily. She said, I just discovered the podcast a few months ago, and I'm still working my way through all the episodes, hopping around out of order. I love that so much.
Yeah.
My favorites so far have been perfectionism, burnout, and holidays, as they resonated the most with what I'm working through. But I also find it interesting and enjoy when episodes I don't expect to relate to as much uncover something I wasn't aware of within myself. Emily, I totally relate to that. And first of all, I love that you're listening to the whole back catalog. That's so fun. And thank you so much. Um, but yeah, it's funny how you might see a topic and go, yeah, I don't know if that's for me. But then you'll find things that you resonate with. It's like a discovery. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. I do that with the podcast that I listen to. That you know, I listen to some really random podcasts, but there's nearly always in every episode there's at least one thing that I go, oh, okay, that's either some new information or a new take on something, or it reminds me of something that I already know, but maybe I've forgotten. And I just love hearing people talk about what's on their mind or the conversation they're having. I just think it's really interesting. So I love, Emily, that you are jumping around all over the place listening to us, and that you're finding it interesting.
Yeah,
it's great. The next one we've had is an email from Sally, and Sally responded to a request where we asked listeners to message in with how the HSP trait shows up for them, because we did an episode where Robbie and I explained how it shows up for us, but also it will show up for each one of us differently. So we really wanted to share some other perspectives with you. And Sally's done a great job here. So I'm largely going to read out what she sent to us. And Sally says, having always identified as a sensitive introvert, I am only recently discovering this thing called HSP. I'm wondering if this is for me. Yep, we know where you're at, Sally. I was delighted and excited to find your podcast. So thank you for putting that out there. I've got a lot of catching up to do. I suspect by now you have caught up, Sally, and I hope you've been enjoying it. Sally also goes on to say that having been told from a young age that I am too quiet or shy or lack confidence, I get very cross when I hear my children's teachers describing them in similar ways. Mm-hmm. And I want to help change this cultural narrative. Yes. We are all for changing the narrative around sensitivity. That is our mission.
Yes.
So totally with you there, Sally. And we had this message a little while ago now. So I hope that is going well. So Sally then goes on to say, I'd love to contribute to helping others identify with this trait. So this is how it shows up for me. My light bulb moment came when I attended a sound bath, and instead of feeling relaxed, I felt every nerve ending was on edge and I was completely overstimulated.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Do you find that? See, I love a sound bath and it really calms me. So what about you, Robbie?
So for me, sounds can go either way. Generally speaking, the sound baths I've attended have been amazing for me, but it has to be certain tones, because certain sounds will send me the other way into overstimulation really quickly. So it has to do with tone and I think pitch.
Yes.
It's really interesting. But
it is really interesting because I was just, when I read that, I was just imagining a lovely sound bath that I've been to. And then when you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, my nerves about already sort of going, oh gosh, yeah, I remember being some sounds that just instantly set my nerves on edge. Instantly. Yeah. Okay, we won't comment on everyone because much as I'd love to, because we'll be here all night. Next one, I find smells overpowering. Strong perfumes, cleaning solutions, toilet smells, and often notice smells that no one else does.
I just want to say same for me.
I notice tiny irritations on my skin. The hair on my face drives me crazy. I can't wear anything with wool in it as I get a rash, and anything that resembles wool, I wear only with a layer underneath. Yep. Don't own any wool clothes. After busy days with lots of noise, people, or activity, I need to go and have some quiet time on my own. Oh, yes.
Yes.
I'm happy in my own company, but can feel alone as I yearn for deep connections with others, yet struggle to find them. Yeah. Being alone in a room full of people is a tough place to be.
Yes. I just recognize that I've been nodding my head vigorously, which for those watching on YouTube, they're getting it. But for our listeners, I have been nodding vigorously to all of these. Yes, I'm in agreement. For me as well.
Thank you for pointing that out. I've been too busy trying to keep my place here and reading. Right, next. I'm very sensitive to pain. I couldn't cope with acupuncture that was supposed to be relaxing and had to stop.
Oh, that happened to me one time. It was when I was having a horrible migraine experience. Acupuncture was one of the million things I tried, and it made it worse. The doctors looked at me like I was crazy pants.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm just telling you my experience. This isn't helping. It's making it worse. Yeah.
And I think that it's situations like that can make us like, you know, can reaffirm that idea there's something wrong with us.
Yeah.
Was in fact, it's just not working. You know, whatever they're trying is just not working. And
That's
because
right.
they're trying their best to help us doesn't mean that we have to say, oh, right, yeah, that's helping when it's not.
Right.
Okay.
And this isn't an indictment against acupuncture. It was just didn't work for me in that moment.
Yeah.
You know,
and I've had like medical acupuncture, like to release tight muscles and things.
Yeah.
And that has really worked for
Beautiful.
me. And I could cope with that. So we're all very different. Actually, it wasn't very pleasant, but it did work. Right. I have been told by previous supervisors that I have a naturally empathic ability to connect with and understand others. And also clients and colleagues tell me that I am naturally gentle and they feel heard by me.
What a gift you give to people.
Absolutely.
Oh, what a gift.
I've always picked up on others' emotional demeanors. I see guilty faces when I have been betrayed. I pick up on anyone who is unhappy or anxious in a room or any slight atmosphere between others. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get easily affected by news stories and want to change the world. And oh my gosh, isn't that happening?
So hard. Yes.
That is happening so much at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't watch horror films. They stay with me, and certain ones can pop up as nightmares for years afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know we said we were going to comment on everyone, but can I share a funny short anecdote around horror films?
Please do.
So,
I hope this isn't triggering anyone, by the way, because Sally does say this.
Hopefully not. I'm not explaining it. Yeah. I don't think it'll be triggering.
No. And I hope just saying about Sally, not like that hasn't triggered anybody. So,
yes.
But you're going to share a funny thing with us. Go.
Well, yes. So I hope it's funny. It's a...
I've made you stop and think
the next
now,
couple minutes is about an incident I had with a horror film. I'm not going to describe anything about the horror film, just what happened for me. So it was one of my very first dates with my wife, and we were going to go see a movie. I said I don't do horror films. I'd known this about myself forever before I knew I was an HSP. And she was like, no, come see this movie. It's not really horror. It's more psychological. But I was like, no, I don't want to. But anyway, long story short-ish, I got talked into it. But it was not for me. And I ended up there was a part that happened. I covered my ears, looked down and was going la, 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 la. So I couldn't hear anything before I left the theater. And I still like poke at her. The reason I laugh about it now is because it's a running joke now, because I'm just like, I told you I didn't like that. Like, and it was a lesson for me of just like, I don't have to try. Yeah. I don't have to try, just because someone else said, no, it's fine. It's not really, trust my own gut. I knew it wasn't for me. So.
Yeah. Older and wiser now.
Older and wiser.
Yeah. And she's your wife, and she's still your wife. So,
exactly.
It was okay.
We made it through.
Yeah, you made it through, but yeah, not a great first date though. I mean, that's quite impressive actually. That on the back of that first date, you stuck it out.
Well, that wasn't the first date. It was one of our first dates. So she had done some good things before then, so that was good for her.
Okay, so she had points in the bag already.
She did. She already had points.
Cool. We are going off on a massive tangent. Right, back to the email.
That's my
no,
fault. Yes.
Please don't apologize. Right, 2 more. I am easily moved to tears by seeing people and dogs and people making genuine connection on TV shows.
Oh my gosh, happens to me all the time. Yes, like actual tears. I'll be like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yes. I hope those who are listening can hear how impassioned Robbie is about that. She's just had quite a big reaction to that. And then I also get emotional watching certain music and dance performances. And she talks there about a particular performance on Strictly Come Dancing, which is like Dancing with the Stars for you guys in the States. Nice. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Sally. I get moved by dance. Yes. Dance more than music. I mean, obviously you dance to music, but more dance than music, but also music as well. Yeah, and that is, she said, that's it for right. That's all I've got right now. Well, I think that is an amazing start on your journey, yes. Sally, of discovering, your HSP. And let's get one in first episode of the year. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I am sure there will be listeners listening to this and listening to those things I've just read out that are going, yep, that's me. So thank you.
And what's great about that is it normalizes it, right? It helps us to feel not alone. And it helps in the conversation that you and I are so passionate about, Philippa, which is turning the conversation away from there's something wrong with me to no, this is me. And there's strengths in these things as well, right?
Absolutely. And these things just help us see that maybe we are a bit different, not wrong, not broken, not something to change, but we're just a bit different. And from there, we can hopefully see perhaps the gifts that come with these things, and then we can see strength in that. And that is what we are really here for, to help everyone, all HSPs, see the strength. So so thanks, Sally, for giving us this to read out and share with the listeners, and an opportunity to remind everyone of what we're actually trying to do here on this first episode of 2024.
It's really great. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you so much. Do you want to do the YouTube ones?
Sure. So this was in response to episode 36 on jealousy. Pen and Heel. Is that am I reading the username correctly?
Yep. I think that, it is Pen and Heel. Yep.
Said, love the role playing at the beginning, had me confused for a minute. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Philippa had to twist my arm to do this role play, where if you haven't listened to it, it's a little different in the beginning, but we ended up having a ball actually. And it was fun. So
it was.
So thanks for saying you enjoyed it there.
Thank you very much. And there'll be more role play this year.
I think so. Yeah.
If I can
lean into that a little bit.
I'll keep twisting Robbie's arm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Val Nelson, who has actually been on this podcast. So go check out her episode on entrepreneurship if you haven't already. But she commented and said on the blooper episode, I love this. So glad you shared it. Which, thank you, Val. There was, one of the things that Philippa and I pride ourselves on is just we just show up as who we are, and we're real because we just want people to know that there's a space for them to be who they are in the world. And so putting out the bloopers was in an effort to embrace even more of that, right? It's just like, here were some of our whoopsies.
Exactly. And actually, I'm sorry, before you there's another comment on the bloopers as well. But if we didn't put the bloopers out on purely audio, so you won't have heard that on Spotify if you listen on any of the other podcast apps, because really you need to see the visual. So the only place that the bloopers the only place you will find the bloopers is on YouTube, but we will put a link to it in the show notes if you want to go and see it, because our wonderful producer Jay, who we didn't know was going to do the bloopers, so to be fair, there were a lot more bloopers than that, but we stopped the recording and started again, so now we know.
We didn't save them, but now we will.
Now we'll save them all, and he's already got one to go out already. So he put that together, and he's put little captions, and that's what makes it really funny. So you need really to see it on YouTube, so we'll put the link. But yeah, there's another comment.
Thank you so much, Jay. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, one other comment from, I don't know how to pronounce that.
I think it's Groinia.
Thank you so much. She said,
yes.
Oh my God, I love this, especially the part where you forget your name. I'm with you.
That was me. I forgot my name. That's in the bloopers episode. So yeah. I have to say I've watched it a few times. It makes me laugh. If I need a little bit of a pick-me-up, I go and watch our bloopers episode. It's quite amusing.
And I think we've had the majority of our bloopers are during our introduction. Yep. And it's for those of you who have listened to more than one podcast, that our introduction is pretty much the same every time. Yep. But every time Philippa and I have to remind ourselves, like, who's starting, who's doing what.
Yeah.
And then even then we make mistakes. So as we did today when we were starting. So good times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's part of being human.
It is part of being human. It's funny. Right. I'll do the Spotify ones. So on episode 35, which is about the holidays, Meg says, "Thank you, Philippa and Robbie. I listened while mopping my floors." Well, that's great. If we made mopping your floors a bit more interesting. She says, "Great ideas and insight on how to make holidays enjoyable. Love listening to this podcast. Happy holidays."
Oh, thanks, Meg.
Thanks, Meg. We love having you here listening, and happy holidays to you. Well, we hope you had some happy holidays and happy New Year. And then episode 31, which is called Unique. Sally, same Sally, I think, as the email, said to us, "What a great introduction to your podcast. Hearing about the strengths of HSPs is hopefully the start of being able to recognize and celebrate this for myself instead of feeling ashamed." Thank you. Yay.
That makes me so happy.
Makes me so happy. That's absolutely what we are here for.
Yes.
And I also wanted to mention that the early episodes, Josh Sparanio, who is 2 times guest and friend of the podcast, the early episodes, he left us comments on quite a few of the episodes. And we just want to say, Josh, thank you. And we are really grateful for your support.
Yes.
We know you know that, but we also wanted to just say it again today.
Say it again. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we've got some comments on LinkedIn. Yeah. So do you want to run? Shall we do them one at a time, or you can do them all?
I'll do episode 12, Permission.
Yeah.
So from Josh, we were just talking about him. He said, "Wow, you did a fantastic deep dive into this topic. It's amazing how many different areas of our lives can be influenced by our belief that we need permission to be our true selves or take certain actions." Oof. I think I may have mentioned this to you before, but one exercise that's extremely helpful for me is asking, if my best friend was about to take this action, would I tell them to go ahead or would I encourage them to hold back? Ooh, that's a great question. Yeah.
It is. It's really great.
He goes on to say, "So often we hold ourselves back from taking action on things we really want to do when we would wholeheartedly support our best friend if they were to do that same thing. It just doesn't make sense when we think about it logically." Well, yes, and feelings aren't logical. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he said, "So if it's okay for them, it's more than likely okay for us, and we should give ourselves permission to dive on in."
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. Very wise as always, Josh.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So episode 15, Forgiveness, on LinkedIn. Linda left us a comment that said, "It's so good to celebrate accomplishments. I love that you put self-forgiveness in there. The focus is usually only on forgiving others, but I agree that it's so important to forgive yourself first." And then I answered, thank you for your comment, Linda. Forgiving ourselves first hadn't really occurred to me, Philippa, until Robbie and I recorded the podcast. And as you say, it is so important. And Linda says, yes, it is great that this came out of your discussion. That's why it's so important to have conversations like this. It helps us deepen our understanding and give voice to things we didn't even know we knew. And I wanted to share that one in particular because anybody who's listened to these episodes will hear that Robbie and I work things out as we are talking on the podcast. Some of certainly our favorite episodes have been ones where we've had those light bulb moments ourselves as if we've been talking. And, you know, that's why we want to bring you these conversations. It really is. Yeah.
It is. It's one of my favorite things about it is that, this platform has given us space to discover some things, you know, just in the act of recording, in the act of having the conversation, we learn things. And it's so fun for me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And meaningful, which is what we're all about, is having those meaningful conversations.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You know, my weeks would not be anywhere near as good if I didn't have these conversations with you. So, yeah.
Same.
Yep.
So episode 23 was on men, and that was Josh was our guest that week, and he commented and said, I had so much fun visiting with you. I really appreciate you setting aside an episode to take on this subject. There are roughly 1 billion highly sensitive men in the world, and many of them still have no idea they're HSPs or the gifts that come with this genetic trait, which makes raising awareness around this topic more essential now than ever before. I couldn't agree more with Josh. You know, it's hard enough for us as women to discover the trait, to start finding the strengths there, to really love ourselves for who we are. And then you think about the way that in culture, women are treated and men are treated, and sensitive men have an even, you know, they have even I lost the word I was trying to think of. It's challenging for them to learn this about themselves and then to be able to embrace it. And so I was happy to have that conversation and put some awareness to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And still with Josh on episode 24, all about voices. Josh says, this is such a beautiful episode. I loved every single second of it, especially getting to travel with you on your journey to finding your voice and transforming into the astonishing, bold and brilliant person you are today. I think he was directing that at me, actually, because I was talking about being bold. Not that you're not bold and astonishing, Robbie, because you are, but but it's amazing what sharing your own journey can what an experience it can create for other people to hear your story. So that's why we both tell our stories, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. Episode 25, addiction. Val said, oh, great topic. So glad you're addressing this. I know many people who have had alcohol and drug challenges who I often wondered if they were trying to fix, quote unquote, sensitivity. Alcohol is effective at numbing. It makes sense. Yeah. And it does make sense.
Yeah, that was such a great conversation with Jane.
Yes, with Jane. Yeah.
She was really kind to share her story in that episode. And then episode 26, which was about self-employment, which was the episode we did with Val. Dr. Shireen comments on there saying, beautiful, I relate to every word. For me, as the road unfolds, my self-employed business is becoming the platform for putting my HSP strengths into real practice.
Oh, that makes me so excited. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Me too. And I was having a conversation today about does being an HSP show up in my business? And I was like, of course it does, because it's me. So it shows up all over the place. And I love that there, in particular, Shireen is talking about her using her HSP strengths, because that's right on the money for us, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Love that. Episode 28, Flow. Jackie said, this was my first listen to your podcast, and I loved it. the conversation about trusting yourself really resonated with me. Oh, yes. I love hearing from first-time listeners. It just lights, I love hearing from any listener. It makes,
Absolutely.
as we talked about, but first-time listeners, especially exciting.
Yeah,
And yes, trust yourself.
exactly.
I
And
love that that's what resonated with her. Yes, yes, yes.
I know. And Jackie was one of the many people who have found us here on the podcast as a result of the HSP Awakening Summit.
Beautiful.
And yeah, that was really amazing to do that summit and then have people come and follow us here on the podcast. So hello to everybody who's listening, and also those of you who found us from that summit. And just to finish off, episode 39, which was our wrap up for the season, again, Jackie commented there, I'm so glad I discovered your fab podcast. Enjoy your festive break. Well,
Aww.
We are very glad you found our podcast as well, Jackie.
Yes.
So yeah, those are the comments that we wanted to share with you. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for getting in touch. Thank you for connecting with us. Please, anybody who's listening who has thought about connecting with us but hasn't done so far, please, take this as your permission slip if you need one to get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Robbie?
Well, I just wanted to say, and I wanted to say that next week we're going to be talking about intentions and goal setting, and how, it's the time of year when so many people are talking about that, right? And we want to talk about how some ways to do it that make it really beneficial for us as HSPs. Because I know for years I tried to do it in the way that I saw modeled out there, and it just didn't feel good for me. So I'm excited about having that conversation. And part of that too, I was trying to tie this in and I didn't tie it very well, but where my thought originally went is when you're talking about people getting in touch with us, we are going to be sharing more about how to join our community and be in touch with this. Man, my tongue isn't working yet. Hello, 2024. Be in touch with us that way, where we can carry on these conversations. And I'm really excited. I'm excited to talk to people about that.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was my clunky way of doing that. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Clunky or not, thank you. So yes, we're going to be sharing our intentions for our year ahead as far as the podcast and the community goes, and talking you through how you might want to look at your intentions, and just getting back into our groove, because as you've heard, we are tripping over our words and everything today. We just need to get back into it. And for those of you listening and not watching on YouTube, I was just sort of being a bit silly, making silly noises with my mouth. So great to be back.
Yes.
Great to be
excited.
back.
I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be back in the conversations. I'm excited for what we have planned for the year.
Yeah.
And to be talking to people about that. And so grateful to do this with you, and so grateful for our listeners, because otherwise it would just be you and I having a conversation, which would be great.
Which would be great, but probably not quite the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's it for now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess that's bye for me.
Yeah, and it's bye for me.
Thanks for listening to HSP Connection. If you've enjoyed listening, we'd love you to hit the follow or subscribe button, as this helps other people find us. And it also means you won't miss an episode.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you could rate the podcast and share it with anyone you think might be interested. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave us a review.
To get in touch with us, you can email us at hspconnectionpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you with your thoughts and comments on the episodes, as well as suggestions for future topics and guests.
We are both HSP coaches and speakers. And to find out more about Robbie, go to RobbieLeigh, LEIGH.com.
And to find out more about Philippa, go to boldhsp.com. See you next time.